Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today I want to talk about some small knives. The stuff I've got up here on the bench in front of us. There have been so many small knives come out in the past about a year that it's not clear cut anymore on what you should get if you're looking for that small knife that's in the good to kind of high-end category for small knives. So let's kind of get a look, and we're going to start over here at the bottom, all the way to the left. This is a Crkt Pillar. This happens to be the 8CR13 model with the STASA 23 show side scale and carbon fiber, but you can now get this knife from Blade HQ with the carbon fiber scale and 12C28N at around 50 bucks. So it's definitely, I said we're going from cheapest to most expensive. I kind of lied, because in carbon fiber, this knife is about $48, but it starts at $25. What do you get at $25? 8CR13 MOV, all stainless steel, 3CR13, and for the handle, and a weight of about 4 ounces. So be aware of that. Now, it is a knife that has unbelievable ergonomics and great usability. However, moving up the scale to the G10 model and losing about an ounce off the weight is probably the way to go. That's the middle model, G10 with 8CR13 MOV. That's probably the sweet spot on price versus performance on this knife. However, if you want slightly better blade steel, at $48 is still a fairly decent deal on such a great ergonomic knife, such an excellent design for Mr. Jasper Vones. So this is kind of our bottom of the line, or where I'm going to put it. Now, I'm sure there's other knives that you guys have got that you can tell me about, but these are the ones I had to put on the table. And these are all knives under 3 inches, I think. Let me check on this one real quick, because I don't quite remember on this guy. But I believe, yes, all of them are under 3 inches. Next up, we would have the Rat Model 2 that has obviously been used, and I should check those things before I grab knives out of the box to put on camera for you guys. But as y'all know, I generally fail at that, so we have a well-used and loved Rat Model 2. Got a little tape or something on it, probably breaking down boxes. But anyhow, at about $39, this knife is very compelling, especially in D2. It's cheaper if you get it in AUS 8, but I don't think buying the AUS 8 version is worth it unless you have a specific use case for AUS 8. The D2 that they're using is good, works good, the knives are put together good, and at $39, it's really hard to say no to one of these. If you're going to carry it as a regular EDC knife, this is better than the Pillar. The Pillar, in my opinion, is a pocket floater. This is not, and it has a very good clip on it. It's not the greatest clip in the world, but very good, and construction and action to keep you happy. Not to mention a good blade steel. So the Ontario Rat Model 2, it probably deserves to rank pretty high if you're out there looking. The only thing it doesn't have is style. And it has its own style, but it's been kind of overrun by some of the newer stuff, like the next one we're going to look at, which is the Mass Drop Gent. And our Mass Drop Gent has a bunch of little things that make it really cool. Our scales are shadow boxed just slightly, looking really, really good. We are S35VN, so a major jump in steel quality, but also a major jump in price up to right about $100. And we have this pocket clip that is a love-hate relationship for so many people. I happen to love it. You stick this thing in a pocket, and this is one that can go in a shirt pocket. It can go in, may fit in a watch pocket. I haven't tried, but it can definitely go in a shirt pocket, a jacket pocket, your jeans pocket, wherever. And you have, especially back pockets, all you have is this clip sticking out. And that clip, let me see if I can find a card here we'll use a Three Rivers manufacturing card. That clip, once it's down in the pocket to the normal observer that is not Stazza 23, is just going to look like a ballpoint pen clip. So some extra thought goes in to these knives as we move up the price ranges. And we got a really nice flat ground blade out of S35VN, and just it's really kind of a steal for $100. And this should probably also be high on your list if you're willing to spend more than that $50 mark, even though we've got some more expensive ones to look at. And next up is kind of a trio of knives. This is the Imp. This is the first one from Bestech that came out, and Bestech sent me one of these over, and I was enthralled with it. It's just a cool little knife. It's kind of like getting a pillar with all premium materials, almost, except it's got that little short blade, and it's got a different set of ergonomics that are equally as good. And I thought this was going to be great, and this thing went in my pocket, and I thought, well, that's it. That's what I'll carry forever in my left pocket. And then this happened. This is exactly the same knife, just with a little more blade, and it's called the Goblin. These things run about 130 or so, and if you're attacking boxes and not apples and other cutting tasks of that sort, the Goblin is probably better than the Gent. Now, if you're slicing apples and stuff like that, the Goblin's blade is a bit short for those sorts of things, but it can be done. The ergonomics are better, more locked in than a lot of these knives, and it's really cool. And just so you know, there may possibly be a slip joint version of that Goblin here pretty soon. Depends on you guys. You need to let Bestech know if you would like to see the slip joint version. Enough of you to let them know, and they will bring a slip joint version. And now we have a newcomer to the small knives. I say newcomer, it's been in the works for almost 2 years as far as Spyderco is concerned, but it is finally here, and that's a Reinhold Rhino. And it comes in CTS XHP. Excellent blade grind, of course, from Spyderco. Fairly thin stock, and, well, spider holes and compression locks, and all that stuff you'd expect to get on a bigger knife, and even a standard Spyderco pocket clip, though it may be slightly smaller. I still haven't investigated that. And a nice lanyard hole back there, sleeved lanyard hole. A very nice little knife with great ergonomics, but this is one of those knives you need to be careful about your hand size. I've got medium-large hands, and, you know, I don't know with where that point is. You know, if you've got really, really, really big hands, it may not be that great for you. Smaller hands than mine, yeah, you should be just fine. So you want to be careful with that. I've got a video, first look video on the Reinhold Rhino that'll talk a little more about that. The grip length, if I remember right, was right about 3 inches. So, you know, be careful there. But very cool knife. But we are now in firmly in that $130 range. Though, you know, you get G10 with a carbon fiber overlay, CTS XHP, and a compression lock. For many of you, this may be the ticket. It's not for me, but it may be for several of you. And moving on up the price scale, another 15 bucks, we get to the rectifier from WE. Now, this knife takes all those things about a small knife and kind of brings them together. We've got thin blade stock. We've got a hollow ground blade that's very thin behind the edge, making it a super slicey little knife. The only place that I can find to knock the rectifier is it does have just a smidge of a recurve to that blade. And, you know, it's not that big a deal. You know, if you're using crock sticks or a sharp maker to sharpen it, it's no big deal at all. But it's just something that I wish we would have left out and left the bottom of that edge nice and straight. And this would have been, and it's already an outstanding value at $145. But if they had done that, it would have been an absolute no-brainer. And it's just a good looking knife. And a knife that works extremely well as well. WE has really stepped it up in the small knife category. And let's move on along here, because there's one here that many of you are probably wondering why I have an Ultratech on the table. Well, it's not exactly an Ultratech, it's a UTX 85. And this is one of those things. For a everyday carry knife, it actually shines like you would not believe. The package that's in your pocket is thin, not very thick, not very wide, and there's nothing to get your hand stuck or rubbed up against. I mean, it just fits in the pocket extremely well. And the blade in this standard bladed one, M390, and very thinly ground, really just a great knife all the way around. Although it is an automatic, and you have to watch the laws where you live about automatics, of course. And it is an automatic. And what does that mean? It means that in this one's case, it's from Microtech and has those little tri-wing screws. And you have to go to the gray market, I guess you'd call it, to get a driver for those tri-wing screws, because I can't ever find the official Microtech one. And if you take a Microtech knife apart, you have voided the warranty. And why is that important with an automatic like this? Well, it's important because at some point, this thing is going to get gummed up. See, it's got that open hole there, and you're going to get stuff down in there. You can't do anything about it. It's just going to happen. And whenever it happens, you know, there are tricks. You know, one thing I've done with this one is fill it full of acetone and run it back and forth until it had kind of all leaked out, and then put a dab of oil down in there and work it some, and it'll bring the action back. Sometimes you get other stuff in there that won't fix, so do be aware of that. Now, Microtech will fix a knife for you, and from what I understand, more recently, Microtech's customer service has gotten a lot better. I know that there have been horror stories in the past, but more recently, things seem to be better. The only thing bugs me, and I love these knives, the only thing bugs me with these is if I take this knife apart, Microtech's going to tell me I've voided the warranty, and they're actually serious about it. They don't care if I was able to put the knife together properly, as far as I understand. All they are going to do is look at it and say, well, it's been taken apart and warranty's over. Which is a bad way to do business, but, you know, what do you do? Well, I suppose you hope that Grant and Gavin Hawk get the deadlock done in a UTX 85 size. That would be awesome. Now, moving on up the scale is one that many of you are really excited about, and for good reason, and that is and actually we got those out of order. This knife, generally, if you can find them, runs about $225. So it actually belonged over here. And our Ace Biblio should have been just to the left of it at about $175. And I've got a video out there on the Ace Biblio, and what I can tell you is it's a darn good little knife. Go watch the video if you're really concerned about knowing everything about it. But what I can tell you is the action is really good. It was really gritty and awful whenever I first got it. But I dropped some oil down in there, and after a couple of rounds of that, using some thin oil, I think I used 10-weight nano oil, it came around and has a great action. It's got a really high hollow grind with fairly thin stock. Makes for a great EDC knife, and it's just beautiful in this micarta. I am still not a huge fan of the Black G10 one. I know some of you will be. And if you like the Black G10 one at all and go over to giantmouseknives.com, they generally have those in stock. And I think I even saw them at Blade HQ here recently. So branching out a little bit with the Ace Biblio brand. And this is a Genzanzo and Jasper Vonay's design, of course. It's pretty obvious looking at it. And it is from the Ace brand, which is going to be more readily available meaning there's no production limits and that sort of thing like they do on the giant mouse knives. And guys, it is really a good one, and it's worthy of your consideration. At $175, it's not cheap, but after getting the action straightened out, I think this is one that warrants the price. Are there little problems? Well, of course, there are with everything. Like if you've got hands my size or bigger, this forward choil here is one of those ones that will get you in trouble and end up getting your finger cut, so you need to remember not to use it unless you're being careful. But if you got smaller hands, no problem. And I'm kind of using this thing. I want to see what happens whenever I go back and clean up the micarta right now, and it's looking really nice. A little lighter on that side, a little darker on the side that's been in near closer to my body where it's got a little bit more moisture on it. But overall, I think it's going to be a good one. And now we'll flick this one out again just because it's fun. This one at $225, the Microtech. We talked about it. And then at the top of our price heap right now, we have the WE Vapor. Now, the Vapor, in my opinion, is a very good knife. This particular one with the black blade in it works really well, falls free, does not fall shut because that blade doesn't weigh anything, guys. It's .120 if I remember right, blade stock. And it is, well, of the small WE knives, this is the looker. This is the supermodel. It's got that nice thin hollow grind. We've got the bird eye back here. Got a swedging up here, and it's just, the carbon fiber inlay, and it is just a really pretty knife. Is it worth $245? Well, if you're looking for something in the less than 3-inch category and you want to have something super cool, yes, it is. If you're not so worried about being super cool, the rectifier in the WE brand is probably a better choice. But overall, guys, that is the ones that I have on hand. Each and every one of them are very good knives, and each and every one of them are kind of taking the place of standbys like our Dragonfly. Now, the Dragonfly is still a great knife, but whenever you have to give, and I'm not sure on the price, guys, so don't poke me too hard here, but I'm going to guess 75, 80 bucks, maybe a little more, a little less for the ZDP 189 version. You're moving into better built knives with just about, okay, there we go. Now everything on the table, a better built knife than our Dragonfly. However, they all weigh a bunch more than our Dragonfly. And, I can't really think of any other good small knives in this size category besides what's on the table. We'll let Dragonfly sneak in there a little bit and get our pillar back over here. But from $25 all the way to $250, we have fairly recent, less than 3-inch knives. For all you guys out there that are always fussing and always in the comments, what about the 3-inch version? What about the smaller than 3-inch knife? Guys, you've got stuff to choose from. It's not like you're like it was a year or so ago where there were very, very few knives out there. There's a lot of them. Take advantage of it. Some of these are just absolutely awesome knives that deserve a place in your pocket. And anyhow, guys, that's kind of our small knife overview for mid-2018. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And watch the Apex News every week right here on the Zelrick YouTube channel, where we go through all of the videos and all of the print news that has come out over the past week, and we bring it to you in a format that's easy to digest, easy to look through, and listed links that are easy to go and look at. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.